The House of Representatives approved a bill sponsored by Republican Congressman Nick Langworthy, which bans members of Congress and their families from buying new individual stocks.
It also comes with a host of new oversight into how members are able to sell existing stock. Joined by Congressman Nick Langworthy to talk about that and a host of other issues. Congressman, it's good to see you.
It's great to be back with you.
We have seen a lot on our air in the form of commercials about this stock trading bill. First, give us the foundation of it and why you were standing so strongly against it.
Well, I made the decision when I ran for Congress that I wouldn't trade stock. I had, before this period of my career, I had watched members of the U.S. Senate be accused of and basically found to have gone to briefings about what was going to happen in the COVID lockdowns, then run out and buy stock in Zoom and all of the things that would change so much in American life. It's just dishonest. It's wrong. And we should just eliminate the temptation altogether. So I have not traded any stock since I've been in Congress. I don't hold individual stocks. I think that we are privy to information that the general public isn't, and news that hasn't broken yet. It is not fair to the public, and we need to increase the reputation of the body, and we need to self-police this. So I have done that on my own, but I think we need policy in place because there are members that are day traders.
Sure.
And I frankly think it's disgusting.
It passed the House. Where does it stand right now? Are you pressuring members of the Senate to pass this as well?
Well, it feels like it's almost a full-time job pressuring the Senate to try to do things. I really wish the Senate was far more productive than it is. They don't seem to pass many bills. I mean, we have about 300 bills sitting over there. We're adding this to the pile. This is something that that's why I've gone to the court of public opinion on this, because this is about what's right and wrong. And we need this. We need to codify this to eliminate that temptation for people to enrich themselves on insider information.
It's coming also at a time in this district, for better or for worse, where its former Congressman, Chris Collins, who represented different parts of what is now the 26th and 23rd, excuse me. He obviously was brought down by these very things, this very insider trading, insider information, and his actions thereof. There is no sort of cohesiveness between those two things, but that's yet another example, right, of a person.
It's an example. I mean, financial crimes done by insider information, and Chris's was a very unique situation.
Very.
But there are people that clearly go from a briefing to their broker, and they make decisions that enrich themselves. And I think that that's wrong. And if you want to serve the public, you should be very transparent with your actions. We have to, file personal financial disclosures each and every year. And when you see a member that owns so much more stock one year after the next, and you look at the companies they invest in and the committees that they serve on, it tells the whole tale.
Yeah. Let's move along. We have a one-year moratorium here on data centers in New York State. But where do you stand on data centers kind of at the federal level? And that is less than a year now. We could see data centers here in the state.
Data centers are going to be built in the United States of America, and it's a question of where. My philosophy is very simple. We need to have local control. Unlike what the state of New York has done to us on solar and wind projects, in green energy projects, where they've eliminated local zoning and basically said that these developers can come in and basically do whatever they want, we need to have the local people at the table. The governor's created a moratorium. I think there are pros and cons to that. I get concerned that New York will get left behind. These must be built in different places of the country. I want the local decision-making at the forefront, making the deals, creating the zoning, making the decision, does this fit in the fabric of my community? I think there's a lot of misinformation about data centers, but I leave the siting decisions of these to local elected officials. They are the closest to the communities that they represent. It's not for me as a federal official to come down and say, you must have this data center in this community. These developers are going to go in with site selectors and try to find locations that fit the needs of the data center. But it's also an opportunity to bring a great deal of investment to communities. But it really has to be up to those towns, cities, and villages that are potential site hosts.
If I could push back on that a little bit, we have a situation at the stamp plant out in Genesee County. We're talking about billions and billions of dollars.
$20 billion deal.
Yeah. Huge deal. Should the town of Alabama be the ones doing that? Should that board be in charge of that $20 billion? I mean, they need help from federal and state and county
that
officials.
stamp project has been going on for 2 decades now,
Also
and it
true.
was created to be an industrial site. It's exactly the type of place there. Now, there's local concerns, and those local citizens need to be heard in the local zoning process. Where I have a great deal of umbrage with Governor Hochul is how you can go build a massive solar farm on a piece of agricultural territory, and the local town board has no say.
Happening all over Chautauqua County.
All over Chautauqua County, all over Niagara County. There's serious problems.
You're investing in services and programs in the southern tier, airports, mental health. I want you to talk about that.
Well, it's very important. One of my most important jobs is to make sure that we get our fair share of federal resources that come back here. We pay a lot of taxes between the local, state, and the federal level. I want the federal government to spend the least amount of money, but once that pie is set, I want to fight for the largest share of that to bring home. We got a wonderful grant opportunity through Health and Human Services, getting funds delivered for mental health services in Chautauqua County, and it's going to go a long way.
We are set to be speaking with your opponent in the race in November, Aaron Geese. He is set to be speaking with Kelsey and I, just as we're speaking with Nick next Tuesday. We are still solidifying that, but right now he is on the schedule. That is a campaign that you are now in the middle of. You are set to debate Mr. Geese on our sister station. We hope to carry that as well. What do you have to say about the campaign as it stands now?
You know, I'm going to keep doing my job. I'm going to have an opponent in every single election I stand for as a federal official in this district. I will stand on my record, what I've achieved, the values that I've fought for since I announced my candidacy 4 years ago. In last election, I was rewarded by the voters of this district with the most votes anyone's ever gotten for Congress in New York. So I thought that was a pretty good progress report, and I'm going to keep doing my job. There's plenty of time for politics. I look forward to a debate. I am glad to hear WIVB is going to carry that as well. It's important, and that's why I've always done a televised debate.
And I believe it might be Monday that we're talking to Aaron.
Thank you.
I put this question out to my Facebook followers. What do you have to ask Congressman Nick Langworthy? And one of the first ones was about in-person town halls. I listened to your e-town hall that you did. I believe that was yesterday.
We do telephone town hall meetings.
Yeah,
we
do you
do
plan
them
on
once a
doing
month.
any in-person?
I have, at the beginning of my tenure in Congress, I have a district that spans 3.5 hours end to end. We made the decision, and it hasn't changed when Donald Trump's in office or when Joe Biden's in office. This is a manufactured issue by Democrats. We do telephone town hall meetings. I dial 100,000 citizens across my district. Thousands and thousands of people are on the line, and we take unfiltered questions. I take plenty of them that disagree with me. We have robust discussion, and then we post it all for everybody to see and hear. If I did small town hall meetings all over a district with 168 communities, it would never be close enough for anybody. So this is a manufactured issue by an opponent that's a campaign's not going so well and his fundraising's lagging. They're trying to make this an issue where most people would never attend a meeting like that, but we go to them in the privacy of their own home on their schedule. They can choose to participate or not. They don't have to hire a babysitter. They don't have to take off time work. And we put that out there for everyone to see. I was at the Eden Corn Festival this weekend. I had 6 people during the parade say, "I love your phone calls."
Okay.
So it's been a great platform for us to use, and I'm going to keep doing that.
Okay, but no in-person.
I made it very clear this is the way I have done it since I was sworn into Congress, and just because the opponent has decided that that's the issue he's going to latch onto, that I'm not changing my behavior because, again, I won pretty wide re-election both times I've stood.
All right, Congressman, thank you.
Thank you.